Guys always seem to really like when I share X-ray images with you and we talk about them. So let's do a couple more. And just an FYI, as bedside nurses, we do not interpret X-rays. So if you have a central line that's placed, a feeding tube that was placed, you still need to have it read by a provider or the radiologist who is qualified to interpret these images before you use any of those lines. But through your years of working as a nurse and looking at X-rays, you do start to be able to look at them and recognize things. So that's what we're going to do here. We're just going to talk about it. We are not interpreting anything for medical purposes. And I just think it's kind of fun and badass when you're like, oh, there's the central line. Oh, there's the ET tube. Oh, this patient's in ARDS. So in general, black on an X-ray typically means air. And then white means some sort of substance. So this is a good X-ray of a patient that has pneumonia, right-sided pneumonia. You can see over here all of this white cloudy stuff. That is the pneumonia. And on this side, got a nice little clear lung. This is an X-ray of an NG tube. You can actually see the tube coming down the patient's esophagus and then it reaches into the stomach. This is another feeding tube, but this is a post-pyloric feeding tube. So you can see the feeding tube comes down, kind of wraps around in the stomach, and then right about here or so is probably where the pylorus is. You can see when it passes through. So this is a post-pyloric feeding tube. This is most likely reaching the duodenum. I don't think it's far enough to reach the jejunum. Again, I don't interpret these things, but I can definitely tell that this is post-pyloric. This is an X-ray of an ARDS patient, someone that is in acute respiratory distress. As you can tell, this is a whiteout. This is a bunch of fluid, inflammation, infection, whatever it may be, in the bilateral lungs. This is an X-ray of a central line. For your central lines, we like them to terminate in the superior vena cava, or SVC, which just sits right above the heart. So you can see this comes down and just kind of sitting right above the heart. Here's a fun one. This is a feeding tube that's actually in the patient's lung. So that's the patient's heart. The stomach is down here. The feeding tube is up there. Here's another one. Feeding tube, again, kind of up by the patient's heart, should not be there. This is an ET tube, so you can see kind of right around here, that line that comes down, that is the ET tube. And just for fun, this is what your yiddy piercings look like on an X-ray. Bilateral metallic ornaments, as radiologists usually like to write. Okay, I hope that was helpful to kind of visually see some things, hopefully learn something. Let me know if you have any questions.